Okay, we are going to probably put a second honey super on that hive and hopefully a first on this hive. So we'll start with that hive. You can see the bees are busy on both hives. I'm just gonna flick that off there. That's been on there for weeks. And they're busy on that hive too. I've got 2 boxes full of frames. These are honey supers from last year, so they've already built out the honey comb on there. Dead bee on there. So they don't have to put all the energy into building out that comb. And I think I have 4 of these that are built out. So I'll have some new boxes this year that I'll have to put energy into building out the comb. They do that fairly quickly. Get this propolis off. This is the stuff they harvest off the pine trees and come and seal all the cracks and such. Like they'll normally seal this. I wedged a piece of wood in there, but I don't know why they're still crawling in and out there. All right, let's check this hive. Let me set this here. It's pretty hot on this metal. I'm trying to keep my devices off of it so they don't get all too hot. See if that works. Hopefully you can see me working the hive. I'm going to get this fired up. I'm over here out of camera getting my, I should have set this up over there so you can still see me. All right. So I've got cardboard rolled up in there and then some wood chips like normal. If I can get that cardboard lit, then it'll keep the wood chips going too. I think we're good. Okay, let's go ahead and open this up. I see bees in there. I've had this honey super on here for 2 weeks, so they should have it full of honey, I would assume, because they were a really strong hive. We'll just check a few of these frames, see how they're doing. This hive really likes propolis. They're doing some weird stuff. It looks like they're laying. Looks like they're laying up in this, which I don't understand. Never seen that. I've never put a queen reducer on, which has slats that don't let the queen up through. I've always just put the honey super on, and for 6 years they've been fine, but they're building. They're not. Oh, there's honey. Well, that's disappointing. I really thought this honey super would be full of honey. There's bees all over these frames. And that one had a decent half of honey on it. The other side didn't have any. Starting to put honey in there. Looks like they might have just barely came up in here and started working. I'm gonna check a couple more of these, see what's going on. Yeah, there's nothing on those. So they've started honey, but haven't filled this out like I really thought they would have, which is strange. I'm going to check some of these other frames on this half. There's a lot of bees down on this side. I want to see what's going on. Yeah, they're building out honey. So they're starting to get honey going. You can see all that shiny. They're starting to build honey in there. So they're doing the same thing on these others here. Let's see if I can drop this in there. So the one frame almost looked like brood, but it's not. It's just capped honey. So they've got one frame about halfway done, and then all of these other frames have some honey, but oh, weird. Yeah, they're building. They're laying eggs on that. You can see that. There's a bunch of pupa in there from bees. That's really bizarre. I don't really understand what's going on there. I don't really know what is happening on these frames other than it looks like they're laying some on there. I'm just going to take that off for better or for worse. Yeah, they're laying on these frames. They're not working honey. Ah, darn it. And now I might have a queen up in these honey frames. Dadgummit. I've never had that happen in 6 years. They've never come up into here. These brood boxes were full and they just worked those, and then I didn't put the queen excluder on. And my friend who'd been working bees for, I don't know, 10 or more years doesn't put one on either up here. So now I got to decide if I'm going to work through every frame and try and decide if I'm going to see if the queen's up in here, and if she is, maybe try and get her back down in and put the excluder on, because I need them to start filling these with honey, because this hive is huge. There's nothing really on this frame, so I'm going to create some space so I can work through here and see if that queen's in here laying. I might go run back into my garage and get a queen excluder, but I'm afraid to trap her up in here. See, they're putting honey in here, so she's not laying. But Some drones. They're putting honey on here. So that's what I would expect. And then there's like two frames in here that it looks like they're laying on. I don't really get what's going on there. Let me make sure. Yep, dadgummit. Looking for that queen. This is where I wish I had a marked queen, so you could just glance in there and see her. So this is an element where an experienced beekeeper would go, oh, just do this. But I'm nervous because she's laid on half a frame. There's only a little bit of laying on here, but she's laid just a bit, enough that it makes me nervous to put that excluder on her and then trap her up in this upper portion of the hive and she can't get back down. And so I'm not sure how to get her back down and not be laying up in this super, this honey super. All right. What you're seeing there probably doesn't make much sense, but I'm filming a bridge video out of sequence that I'm going to attach to what you just watched. So I was surprised to find the queen laying up in the honey super, which in my 6 years of beekeeping had never happened to me before, and so I just wasn't planning for it. So I did go inside. I didn't film all that, and I'd look for the queen, didn't see her in that honey super, that single honey super on that, what's a tall hive now. And I put the queen excluder on and put the honey super on. And I felt uncomfortable about that all night. On the other hive, they hadn't come up into the second brood box, so I didn't even film that because I was just trying to sort out what to do with everything. And so I just left that alone. This was all on June 30th when I filmed the video you just watched. After calling my wife's uncle, who got me into beekeeping, he said, I'd take that queen excluder out. It just damages bees' wings. I never put it in. Throw a second honey super on this tall one and just let them sort it out themselves. She'll get back down in the brood boxes and they'll start storing honey. The nectar flow will start in July and all will be well. There's a wasp up in there. Gotta figure that out. So I did that. I came out a couple days later, took that queen excluder off real quick, put the second honey super on the tall hive, the one the closest to me, and I let them do their thing for 3 weeks in both hives. And then I came back out and I filmed the next video, which I'll post after this one. So, and that's on July 21st, which is actually today, 3 weeks later. Anyway, hopefully that all makes sense. The video you just watched where I found the queen laying up in the honey super was on June 30th. And I sorted it out, and then I came back out and filmed my next video, which got the hives to what you see right there. And on July 21st, which is today, and you can watch that next. Beekeeping is fun. Although for those of us that aren't like super crazy into it every day and finding out all the nuances of hives, and it can be a little bit, you get a wrench thrown at you every once in a while down into the works and you're like, what is going on? And then watch a few videos or call a friend and they're like, nah, this, that, and then you sort it all out. So they seem to be doing well. I have some wasps hanging out on this hive. They keep coming up and trying to go up in the top. I gotta sort that out, figure out what's going on. It's fun. Enjoy the videos.